episode
18.
17. Welcome back to On the Shelf, the series. I am your mighty morphin host, Mike. Today, with me, we have Eli Galdames. Eli, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. I can't believe this is my first interview, so I'm loving it.
Hey, listen, welcome. You know what? I am
My
glad to
first
hear.
video.
First video interview. Bro, I am happy to have you on the show. You were introduced by via mutual friend, Brad.
Brad.
Brad's awesome. Bradley
Yes,
Torres, freaking great
yes.
guy. So
Amazing.
thank you, Brad, for this love connection. Appreciate it. So, Eli, why are we here today? What are we here to talk about?
Well, my passion, which are toys,
Oh,
honestly.
good passion.
As you can see, I have some here with me and I have some behind me, just to kind of give you an idea. Now, mind you, this is 10% of what I have.
Awesome. So, Eli, before we get into this fantastical collection of yours, why don't you tell the folks at home a little bit about yourself?
All right. So, I'm a toy collector, as you can see, but one of the things that I love doing with the toys and okay, so my favorite toys are the toys that are very articulated, toys that you can pose, toys that kind of look human-esque.
Mm-hmm.
So I do photography with them. So if you ever look at a photo, I want you to look at the photo and go, "Oh crap, I thought they were real. I thought they were men in suits or something, or it was a movie still." That's what I'm hoping for and what I strive for when I take a photo. So I'm just a photographer that loves to collect toys, too many to count.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I can't, Eli. There's many people who have seen this room and they know that there's a lot of crap in this room. I may not have the action figure, the toy figure collection that you do, but anybody who's watching this, especially toy collectors and fans of toy photography, could definitely relate and sympathize and empathize to the amount of space and everything that it takes for you to have such a ginormous collection. So we are here, as you could tell by Goldar and the putties in front of you, as well as the shirt that you're wearing, that we are
Yes,
here, as I said, to talk about Power Rangers. Now,
right.
Power Rangers was adapted by Saban Entertainment from the Super Sentai series back from, what was it, like the 80s, I think, or the
Eight
70s. Yeah,
70s.
the 70s, right?
70s,
Which
yeah.
was a brand, like a genre of television called tokusatsu,
Right.
right? And if I butchered
Right.
it, I apologize to anybody who's watching this. I'm so sorry. Like, I read things how I read them. So,
Exactly.
and it was really neat. It's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was season one, and it introduced us to, it was like August of '93. So, it introduced us to all the original characters. Kimberly, Billy, Jason, all of them, and I'm assuming that's where you started. Like that's when it started for you, was watching the first series, or was it at a different jumping on point?
Completely different jumping on point. So I'm gonna take you way back to when I was a child.
Bring it.
Oh, and just for the fans, Zach and Trini too. R.I.P. Trini. We miss you.
Very true.
But yeah. So it for me, it started when I want to say 5 to 6 years old.
Okay.
This was back in El Salvador, where I'm from, and so we were driving to my grandma's house, and we were in a bus, and so this lady on boards the bus with a Voltron, giant Voltron. At that point in time, it was what, the 80s or mid 80s, and so I wanted it so badly, so I cried and cried all the way to grandma's house. So that was the jumping point for me. And then when I got older, then I was introduced to Power Rangers,
Mm-hmm.
and so that in my head equated Voltron, and that's how it all started for me. And then my aunt would buy me most of the Power Ranger toys. I had all the old stuff, Turbo, Power Rangers, the original stuff, the Legacy ones, not the Legacy, the Thunder ones. And so that's where it started for me back in when I was a child. And then it transformed into, ironically, Power Rangers that use a transformer.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's crazy because it is all interlinked. Voltron,
Right,
like you said, Power Rangers. I mean, heck, even Transformers. I mean, it's all one thing transforming into another. You had the Zords turning
right,
into combining into the big robot.
right.
So, now let me ask you. There's been 27 seasons of Power Rangers. Do you like have a favorite, like, grouping? Do you have a favorite, like, group of the Power Rangers or a favorite, Ranger that's like, who would that be for you?
Right. So for me, my favorite Ranger would be the Gold Zeo Ranger, which ironically was played by Austin St. John, which was the original Red Ranger.
Yep.
So that is a wonderful thing that married it for me because he became my favorite, and then it was played by the original Red. So both have been for me the best. But in terms of all 27 seasons, to be 100% honest with you, I don't have a specific favorite one.
Okay.
I don't have one where I'm like, I like that one better than this one. I think they all have something special. They all bring something new. They are all different in their own merit. And I don't distinguish between Saban era, Disney era. I don't distinguish into any of this. To me, it's all one combined thing.
Okay.
So people are like, oh, I didn't like this era because that's when Disney was taking care of it, and I don't like this because that's when this was happening. And to me, it doesn't matter because I love the show.
Right.
So I don't go based off of who was doing what. And because look at what we're doing now. Hasbro came in with Beast Morphers.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, there were so many fans. There were so many of us that were
Right.
like, we love Go Busters. We want Go Busters, please, Bandai, give us Go Busters or
Right.
Saban actually. And they skipped it completely. I think there
Really?
was like, and fans correct me if I'm wrong, about 4 seasons later.
Wow.
Now we get it because they, from what I understand, Bandai, Saban didn't think that kids were going to be into detectives. But look at what Hasbro has done,
Yeah.
brought it to the forefront and made it into such a huge thing. And that's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily like one season over the other. But you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wait a minute, don't lie. You do. Look, I love the original Power Ranger, the original dinosaurs, because I'm
Yeah.
a big dino fan.
Uh huh.
But I do have to say, Kyoryuger, which was the Japanese version of Dino Charge,
Mm-hmm.
is honestly, I'm sorry, I know, edit it wrong, edit it differently. That's literally my favorite season, to be honest with you. I think if I had to pick one, that would be it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Hey, listen. It's like you had said before we started really getting into it.
yeah,
Everyone's going to have favorite seasons of stuff and favorite Rangers, and just because you like one and you like Austin St. John as the Gold Zeo Ranger doesn't necessarily mean if somebody else you know doesn't like them or doesn't.
right,
We're all entitled to how our favorite seasons, our favorite
right.
you know Tommy was always my favorite. And again, I'll be honest.
Boo.
See,
Boo.
I never. But again, again, my own defense, I
Yeah,
have never been a guy. I never watched all the later seasons. It started to get a lot. I'm a tried and true, fan of the '80s when it comes to cartoons. As you can
right.
tell from the shirt,
Yeah,
He-Man,
best,
Transformers,
best ever.
all of them, even to a lesser degree, GoBots. You know, I was a fan of all that. If I had sat, that's like Supernatural. I missed a bunch of the seasons of Supernatural. I'd have to sit and catch up with a lot of it, and I
Yeah,
would probably be so twisted that I would need to call you up to start explaining things to me.
right, 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 right,
But we're we're not here to talk about the awesome '80s cartoons.
right,
So, your as you said earlier, your toy photography. You like when the figures have a million different points of articulation,
right,
which is good. Which is, I mean, again, a far cry from the toys we both grew up with when it was like
right,
arm joint, leg joint, waist the end. That was
right,
kind of it.
right.
So it
Yeah,
is amazing now that you and there's others like you who have done toy photography can really, like you said, put them in realistic poses, put them in
right,
like it's a still from a movie, or like you really think
right,
like, is that from the show? Did they do that and I missed that scene?
right.
It's very impressive.
But you know what the crazy thing is, and I'm glad that you mentioned the lesser articulation that the other ones have. One huge example has to be G.I. Joe.
Mm,
But I've seen photographers that can make it look so realistic with such little articulation.
yeah.
So it's not to take away anything from those toys because I'm like, how in the world were you? How did it you? How? It makes no sense in my head. So I feel bad because I want so many points of articulation when there are people that still collect the ones that have maybe 6, 7 points
Yeah,
and still come up with
crush
such
it.
amazing work. And I'm like, I don't know how you did it,
It's
but
amazing.
props.
I always talk about how creative shows like this have all made us. Like, and again,
Right,
us. I more refer to folks such as yourself and other friends of mine like Joe Malone who do some fantastic, photography work. That this is like you play cartoons and scenes in your head, and they're not
right,
scenes, and they're not
right,
scenes that like, oh, I want to recreate this scene from the show. It's like, all
right.
right, I want to do this like it's never been done before, and you have to give a lot of credit to you know yourself and the creativity that was fostered from the shows and
Right.
not being told by peers and family members, well, and even if you were, oh, this is stupid, what are you doing this for?
Right,
You
right,
still did it, and
right.
pardon my French, I'm French though, I could say that you kicked ass at it.
Yeah,
So why don't we do a little show and tell for the folks, and why don't you bust out some of the stuff that you brought with.
sure. Well, this is why I have this here right in front of me, because one of the wonderful things that Hasbro has done, and Hasbro, if you ever watched this show, thank you so much. This guy right here, Goldar, the original villain that was getting his ass, pardon my French.
It's okay.
Je
I'm
parle un
French.
peu
We
tout
could talk.
le français. Okay, good.
On parle français.
Okay, good. So he was getting beaten on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So he was with us throughout I believe all 3 seasons. Correct me if
Mm-hmm.
I'm wrong, people. All 3 seasons, and then obviously he's the little henchman. These are the other things that I love that Hasbro has done. A lot of people are complaining because they're not colored properly or there's something wrong with them, and to me it really doesn't matter because, for example, this is the new one that
Mm-hmm.
has the little things in the back. I didn't put him on, but his wash is different, and so people are like, oh, he's got a better wash, and it's really not that hard. Just grab some paint with your fingers and just rub it and play with it and enjoy it, because at the end of the day it's just plastic. So it really doesn't bother me, but I just love that they gave us Goldar with the articulation that we have. That is what I love. And I brought one more thing that I wanted to show because I'm hoping that Hasbro gives us this. This is one of the best seasons that Power Rangers ever had, which is Turbo.
Okay.
And so I want finally to get Turbo in this form, and it's just not
Not happening,
happening.
huh?
It's not happening. Now, mind you, this was started by Tommy. He was the original one, and then it was taken over by TJ,
Mm-hmm.
Selwyn Ward, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Okay.
One of my favorite black actors that became the first leader, and so that's why I want this so badly. But it is just not happening. Maybe after In Space, after they make TJ into the blue In Space Ranger, maybe then they'll finally give us Turbo. But even Bandai didn't do it.
Really?
No. So those are the things that I'm waiting for. So these are my favorite little guys, and so yes, I have army built this like you have no idea.
Really? Okay.
I
So when
have
you say army built, what do you mean?
so army building is when you buy 10,000 of just this one toy specifically. So I have the 2 packs. I have like 8 2 packs of these. Plus I have these are the GameStop exclusive. The
Okay.
ones that came with the Green Ranger, with the
Okay.
Fighting Spirit Green Ranger.
Okay.
So these themselves are super expensive because obviously you paid $50 for the 2 pack and you were just grabbing Tommy and either throwing him away or trying to sell him. So so I got a lot of these, but these were I bought them off of other friends or found them on OfferUp because I didn't want to pay for more Tommies. I didn't want 10,000 Tommies.
Right.
So or Green Rangers. So yeah, so I ended up army building these. So I want to say about 20 of these.
Wow.
Yeah. I had to. It was just so the and Hasbro, I got to give it to Hasbro. Now they did the Z Putty, but they're giving you one per box.
Really?
Yeah, but if the fans know how Hasbro works, they're definitely give us 2 packs. I know they will. So I'm gonna get the single pack, the single ones just to have them in box.
Mm-hmm.
But once the 2 packs come in, I'm definitely army building those too.
Eli, it almost sounds
Yeah.
like you're like a secret spy for Hasbro. That you're like that And you're
Hey,
busting
just
his info.
FYI. Yeah.
So now I'm actually curious. Before I cut you off, do you have any other knickknacks to show us?
No, that was it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So now I really want to talk about the photography aspect of this because
Okay.
I'm you have, again, as I've said before, it always fascinates me because, again, we all grew up with action figures, and
Right.
we were the ones to take them out of the packaging, to play with them and everything, and this kind
Right.
of, again, takes it to a whole new level. So walk, if you don't mind for a second, like, walk me through like the procedure and the thought process behind how you do like one of your scenes for one of your shots.
Um, I know. Well, actually, I guess nerds watch this, so you guys will understand me. Uh, they're on my mind 24/7. So out of nowhere, I'm half awake, half asleep early in the morning, or about to go to bed, and I'm like just reminiscing on something, and out of nowhere, a scene will pop in my head.
Okay.
And whenever I'm driving around, I'm always looking at areas because I always do it. I do it on the side of the road. I do it. I have special areas that I go to. I go to. Oh, I actually go to, and I have a lot of scenes of them at the Vasquez Rocks. It's not that far from me where they recorded the where the command center was.
Yeah.
That area, I go there a lot too, and I've seen a lot of photographers, toy photographers, go there as well, and they
Really.
create amazing stuff. Yeah. So I haven't run into anybody yet, but I do. I have run into a lot of people, which you said that will criticize you and say, "Well, what are you doing? You're stupid." But I've only gotten positive feedback. Nothing but positive feedback from people just
No.
watching me with my box of toys, my camera, and some little lights at times, and just trying to set them up. And they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I take toy photography." They're like, oh, "That is cool. What do you do?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm kind of working, so just I wish this was my job, but yeah,
I mean, listen. Again, I know a bunch. I know a bunch of folks that all do, again, the toy photography, and there's always going to be criticizers. There's always going
right,
to be people, especially those who don't understand. And I would never, and I hate to call them ignorant because it's not a matter. Sometimes it's a matter of ignorance, and sometimes it's just a matter of misinformation.
right,
We are geeks, we are nerds, we are collectors, and it doesn't matter what you're a collector of because that person who might think that you're silly for taking pictures with, the putties in Goldar are,
right,
potentially collect, sports memorabilia, or they collect
right,
cars, or they collect this. And
right,
that doesn't, just because it's not something that doesn't fall into their category, doesn't
right,
mean it's wrong or
right,
stupid or anything.
right.
We are people who, just like them, we live our passions. I mean, heck, that's
Hmm.
the whole point of this show.
Hmm.
So,
That don't, sorry,
go
go ahead.
ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, not only that, but at least for me, through time, the thrill of the hunt has become one of the best feelings ever. So a lot of people are like, "Why don't you pre-order?" Because I'm like, "Listen, eventually I'm gonna find them, and when I do, just the idea of seeing them there and just grabbing them, I'm like, yes, I found them." So that is another thrill it sucks that I have because then sometimes I have sleepless nights. And I'm like, okay, well, I gotta wake up at this time. Well, I gotta make sure that I'm there. I gotta make sure that I talk to people. So that too has become my the that adrenaline
Right.
that I need to have.
So now, when you come up with these scenes, now do you have the figures first and then do the scene, or you're like, I have this scene in my head. I need this character. I need this figure. Let me get this figure, and then you build it. Like, which way, or do you do both?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do both. The other thing, I have a little, it's a camera bag that I put up a hard plastic in, and that's where I have all the figures. So, for example, like you were saying, if it's at night and I don't have it ready,
Yeah.
then at that point in time, I'll wake up super early in the morning, take the ones I don't need, and then grab the ones I need, put them in the bag, make sure the camera's charged and ready to go.
That's awesome. How
Yeah.
many how many shots do you think you take before you get that? Do you ever have like that one and done, or are you like taking 150 shots and going, that one's perfect. Let me edit that one. This is good.
It's very rare to get that one and done.
Yeah.
More than likely it's about 10 shots before you get that one where you're because sometimes you take a photo and then you're like you start analyzing and you're like, oh, you know what, the helmet's a little tilted. People are not even gonna notice, honestly. They're really not even gonna
But you
scrutinize
notice.
it. Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's funny because I do have other friends of mine who become friends of mine, and I've met personally
Oh,
and in
yeah.
person and whatnot. And so they'll send me photos and they'll say, which one do you like best? And then I'll say, well, I like this one. They're like, do you see how it's a little skewed? And I'm like, yeah. Well, how about the other one? I'm like, well, then why did you send it to me if you already have one that you like?
Because they
Tell me
wanted,
what you like.
they want, everyone likes the second opinion with this stuff. So,
Right.
and listen, you should be very flattered that they're asking you your opinion,
100. Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
100.
So it's,
To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know, and I'm sorry for reiterating it so
it's
many times,
okay.
but how I have so many followers, I don't know. People are like, "Well, how did you do it?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know. It just people have just gravitated towards me and have stuck around." Um, Now, the way that I started toy photography
Yeah.
was so not too long ago. I want to say about 6 years ago.
Okay.
I was one of those people that didn't want Instagram. I don't want Instagram. I don't want another app. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Well, finally, I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll give in. I gave in. And one of the first things I did was I went in and I started looking at Power Ranger stuff.
Okay.
And then a very extremely good friend of mine who's come over here and we've gone to Power Morphicon together. His name is Drew. He goes by Metallics XD on Instagram.
Okay.
And he knows this already. And if he doesn't, you're gonna know now. He started doing. I would notice his toy photography, and I was like, Drew, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And then I got so frustrated of telling him what to do that I was like, you know what? Let me just do it myself.
Okay. I get
And
you.
so yeah, and so I was like, you know what? Let me just show him what I want him to do. But oh, believe me, from what he used to do to who he is now,
Yeah.
leaps and bounds. I mean, this guy, he's so underrated, in my opinion. So underrated as to what he does. He's so amazing what he does now. But so at that point in time, I didn't like it.
Okay.
I loved it, but didn't like it for me.
Right.
That was his artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be telling him what to do.
No.
Much like a lot of people love to tell me, hey, that weapon is not for that ranger. I'm like, well, it is for my ranger.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you, but it's
Right.
my photo. I get to decide what goes in there or not. I'm sorry, but I mean, I love the criticism and I like it because sometimes I
Yeah.
do mess up. There's 27 seasons.
Yeah.
I'm gonna forget somebody or something,
It
you know?
happens.
Yeah. And so, so that's how I started. And my very first figure was an SH Figure Arts. It was a Gokai Silver,
Okay.
which is oh, actually, wow, you just caught me in another lie.
It's not a lie. It's
But
more
there's
just of a mistruth.
yeah, exactly. A remembrance of
There
things,
you go.
a retrospect of such. Um, there's two seasons that I hate the fact that I love the actors. They're super amazing at what they do, but there's two seasons that I've changed the name in my head
Okay.
because I think Gokaiger was is an incredible season in Super Sentai, and they butchered it here like I butcher
Really?
French. Oh yeah, they butchered it like there's no tomorrow. Saban just rushed it, and then Go Sager, which is another Sentai season that it became Mega Force here, was such an amazing season in again Sentai,
Yeah.
and it was just ruined by Saban or Bandai,
Bandai.
and they seriously ruined it. So I wish that well, from what I understand, Hasbro's no longer doing live action. So I would love for Hasbro to bring it back in a different form, but finally bring Mega Force in a
Okay.
different form and retell the entire story. That would be
Mm.
amazing. But yeah, that's another one. Those are two seasons that I'm like, sorry, actors, but in my head they don't exist.
It's okay. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Go
Sometimes
Kaiser.
Sometimes the actors probably feel the same way.
Actually, I have heard some actors say I hate the fact that I was a Power Ranger, but yet they go to cons. Yet they take your money. Exactly. I'm like, Miss Truth much?
Well,
But yeah,
okay. Well, let me ask you because I'm sure that many, again, even though you booed me on this one, David Frank has been around for cons for a very long time, and his lines
right,
are always Drahugic, and
right,
he's one of those people that no matter how long the line is, he tries his damnedest to make sure that he gives every fan their money's worth when they're online. I've seen him when I've been on lines for other celebrities, him running up and down the freaking lines with his camera and hooting and
Right.
hollering. And yeah, some of
Right.
it is, of course, promotion for his own website and
Right.
his Instagram page, of course. But at the
Right.
same time, he is, again, one of those actors that I feel that likes to make sure that he welcomes every fan, because some of these actors really know that without them, without their support, they wouldn't be doing the shows. They wouldn't be have their lines stretching down for a 2 hour wait.
Right.
You know,
Right. Yeah. Right.
and he's still, again, I've seen the pictures. He poses with the fans. He's willing to whatever. And it's not for the money. It's because he's been a genuine fan of the show, and if he realizes that was where his bread got buttered. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Exactly.
So
Right.
let me ask you. Speaking of the actors themselves, have you met many of them, all of them, some of them, your favorite ones?
I've met most of them.
Okay,
I've had lunch with some of them.
really?
Yeah, I've gotten the privilege to sit with some of them and actually talk to them. I've had the privilege of them actually direct messaging me and like having conversations, giving me shout outs if they see me on their live, So I have had that amazing, amazing privilege.
That's
To me, is a
wonderful.
privilege because obviously I grew up from it, being 10 years old and watching the show for the first time. I never in a million years ever thought that I would have such close connection with them, and
Yeah,
for them to say, "I love your work. I love what you do,"
love it.
and for them to say, "I'm going to go ahead and send you something. Here's something signed. What do you want? What
Oh,
would
it's
you need?"
great.
And as much as I love them, and as much as I love all that stuff, I personally, especially when I'm at a con, if I'm with somebody, I will say, "Do you mind giving it to them instead?"
Oh, that's
Because
nice.
they want it.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones that are wanting to have it. So I don't take anything for me unless they specifically send it to me. Other than that, I don't. I always either give it to somebody or I'm like, you know what, this person wants it more than me, so let's go ahead and give it to them. It makes me feel better. Yeah,
Fantastic. That's a
yeah,
fantastic fan, a fantastic friend, and I love it. I
yeah.
love hearing stuff like that. So, Eli, let me ask you. We talk on the show in prior episodes, which again, which I know you've watched, and I appreciate you
Yes,
watching and subscribing. Um,
yes.
we talk about Grail items. We talk about the Holy Grail pieces, the pieces that if we had unlimited funds, access to a time machine, we would love to get piece A, B, or C. What
Right.
do you think your Grail pieces or piece would consist of?
Be 100% honest with you, I don't really have one. To me, this right here is the biggest grail I could have ever had. And I'm thankful that I'm alive to have seen this and to have actually owned them and played with them because that's what I've wanted. So when Bandai was available or had the thing, the license, they gave us the Legacy line.
Yeah,
The Legacy line for its time and for what it was, I still love it. I still think it's an amazing, amazing line. People are complaining because they're too big, they're too muscular, but to me, they're Rangers. They are what they're gonna be. It's like
right.
Superman. We have so many reiterations of Superman, and I'm like, they all look amazing.
I
Just because
agree.
it doesn't look like Christopher Reeves or Brendan or anybody, it's okay.
Right.
It's just their interpretation of what that character is. Same thing with Batman. So that's why to me this is it. I don't have a Grail item to be
That's
honest with you.
okay. That's okay.
Uh,
But that's
Actually,
again, it's
you know
part of the
what?
show. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, no, because you said a time machine. The
Yes.
one thing, unfortunately, that no one has, and if you do, you are one of the luckiest people in the whole wide world, is a Tui. Hopefully, I'm not pronouncing her name wrong. Trini,
Trini. Yeah.
her signature. Because obviously, unfortunately, she passed.
Yeah.
So
Tragic accident
nobody,
too.
I don't know of anybody thus far, and somebody correct me in the comments, thus far that may have a Trini autograph.
Okay.
No.
So Eli, that brings me to my next question. And this is the big question that stumps a lot of people. If
Okay.
you had a shelf, one shelf in
Yeah.
your apartment, house, flat, room, and you were only allowed one shelf, and
Mhm.
you had to put 3 items from your collection on said shelf, what do you think those 3 items would be?
Now, I'm gonna say it same in the grouping setting
Okay,
because
I'll accept
obviously,
grouping. I'll accept grouping. I like your pictures, so I'll
okay,
accept grouping.
okay, thank you. Because of the Power Rangers themselves,
Hmm.
uh, I would have, which I already have, is SH Figure Arts Power Rangers and the Lightning Collection Power Rangers, as well as the Legacy line. So all three little groups would be my most amazing thing in my shelf.
Now, I'm going to ask you just for visual reference, is when we're done with this episode recording, you could send
Right.
me pictures of those groups so I can happily show everyone
Awesome.
what you're talking about. That would be really
Okay.
swell.
Perfect. Yeah,
So
definitely.
excellent, Eli. This has been a pleasure. I thank you again for reaching out to me. Um, I always like hearing the behind the scenes stuff, especially with toy photography. And again, seeing the Goldar in front of you definitely brings back some memories of my childhood, which
Right.
is neat. So
Right.
this episode will be coming out very soon, and you can follow Eli. I'm going to put the his tag once again right here, so you can all follow him. Those who haven't already. And folks, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Those of you who have. If you haven't done so yet, again, one more time, I'm going to point down. It's right there. Subscribe. I promise you, you won't be sorry. And if you do have a collection that you are proud of, a passion for collecting, doesn't matter what it is. Like Eli's here is toys and photography, which two awesome things. I'm talking anything: sports, cars, Marvel fans. I could use some Marvel fans if you know any. Please reach out to me, social media, email. Happy to hear from you. So, again, thank you, Eli.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
folks, for watching, and have a wonderful day.